Hello, I'm Angela Sheedy and I'm here to provide some outlines on Assessment 3 for HSC112 Basics of Epidemiology. Assessment 3 consists of 3 discussion board entries that you'll be required to submit throughout the semester in weeks 2, 8 and 12. They need to be approximately 500 words each, and this consists of 250 words for your first post that you put on, and then another 250 words to respond to one of your fellow students' posts. It contributes to 20% of the overall grade, so a medium score will be retrieved from all of those 3 posts. This assessment task is fairly straightforward. For each discussion post, you're going to be given a question, and they're clearly outlined in the assessment outline, and I'm going to go through them very, very briefly in this outline as well. And what we want you to do is respond to that question by doing some research and looking for some information to back up what you're finding or what your ideas are, and providing a response to that with a list of references as well. Now, we do use APA referencing style in this course, so I've provided a link within the unit so you can find out a little bit more about what APA referencing style means and how to do that efficiently. Don't forget, you can also contact our health liaison librarian, Lisa Ban, and she can give you some assistance with your referencing as well. Now, once you've put your response up, you'll then be able to see your fellow students' response, okay? So when you go into the discussion board initially, you won't be able to see anything. But once you put your response up, you'll be able to see your fellow students' responses. And we want you to choose one of those responses for you to then reply to, okay? And when you reply to your fellow student, we want you to expand a little bit. So look at what they've written. Is there something more that you could add to that? Is there something that maybe is not right about what they've put down? Okay, so be a little bit critical if it's warranted. Keep it professional though, and maintain your academic writing. So make sure you work through the learning materials leading up to each of the discussion board forums before you attempt them. Okay, and as I've outlined here, make sure you use standard academic writing and referencing. Discussion board 1, which is due in week 2, is asking you to outline a response to what you think has been one of the most important historical events in epidemiology. And that handsome man that I've popped an image of at the side there is Mr. John Snow. You'll be finding out a little bit more about him and what he's contributed in the historical events in epidemiology as well. So that might be something that you'd write a response to as well. So what we want you to outline is, why do you think it has been one of, a very important historical event, and demonstrate your understanding of that and how it's shaped epidemiology. Once you've put your response to the question up here, as I said, you'll find you'll be able to see your fellow students' responses and you'll be able to choose them. I'd actually encourage you to choose a student who's responded to a different historical event to you, so you get a bit more of a broader perspective again. The second question that we're asking you to respond to, and this one is due in week 8, is what is the reason behind using standardised rates in epidemiology? And the purpose of this is that we need you to demonstrate your understanding of when to apply standardised rates to population measures. And the task then is outlined about discussing the difference between crude and standardised rates and providing a local or Australian example of why this is necessary. And answer the question and then contribute to at least one response to the group. So again, answer those questions as outlined there. You'll find as you work through the modules leading up to week 8 that you will have covered this in some form, but you will be required to probably do a little bit more wider research into this area as well. As soon as you post your response up, you will then be able to see your fellow students' responses, and you can choose one of those to respond to as well. Remembering that that's 250 words for your initial response, and then around 250 words in response to a fellow student's post. Okay, the third and the last discussion board, which is due in week 12, is actually getting you to look at how epidemiology has been contributing to health and how it's actually playing out into practice. And so this question is asking you about how do Indigenous prevention programs work to prevent disease development, and demonstrate your understanding of preventative approaches to non-communicable diseases in the Indigenous setting. So we want you to provide an example of a prevention program used in Indigenous health And what's the level of the prevention of the program, and where does the program fit in regards to the social determinants and causation framework? Now, at the moment, this probably doesn't make much sense to you, but obviously as you work through the unit learning materials, you're going to find out what we mean when we refer to level of prevention, okay, in reference to epidemiology and program studies. So I think you'll find that these questions are actually fairly easy to work through and get responses to as you work through the unit materials. Okay, just to briefly outline how you'll be getting marked in this. We have prepared a rubric and you will be marked online, and you'll be able to see the rubric with your marks allocated on the completion of marking. So what we've done is we've divided the rubric up into 4 sections, with each section being worth 5 marks each. And the first criteria is asking you to ability to clearly present a relevant historical event in epidemiology. So this is the core criteria relating to that core question that you're being asked. So each rubric for each of the discussion boards is fundamentally the same, except for this very first level of criteria, which relates it directly back to the question that you're responding to. I always ask students, when you're looking at the rubric, make sure you always look at the highest level. So look at the accomplished level here, where you get your 4 to 5 marks out of 5, because that's what you should be aiming for in your response, that you demonstrate excellence and ability to interpret and present a historical event in epidemiology, and that your submission illustrates deeper understanding and a critical perspectives. The second level of the rubric is marking you on your researching and utilising the literature effectively. So we want to see that you just haven't put a response up, that you have put up an informed response. So this means that you're actually going and finding some research to back up your statements, okay, and that gives substance to what you're saying. If you get a little bit stuck on the research, again, go to the CDU library. There's so many resources and actual people there who can help you, and that's what they're there to do. Okay, the next part of the rubrics is outlining your response to another student's thread. So there are marks allocated for that. Obviously, if you don't respond to another student's thread, you're going to get 0 marks. So don't risk getting 0. Make sure you take the time to respond to another student. And in saying that, that means looking at the due date for these discussion boards. They're all open now, so you can go in and start working on that first one, and I would encourage you to do so. Don't leave it to the last minute, okay, because you're not going to be able to see the other students' responses until you post your own. So make sure you count that in your time that you need to spend on this particular assessment item. The last area within the rubric is attention to referencing and acknowledgement of other sources and written expression. So that's giving you some feedback on your academic writing and setup and everything. Again, really valuable part of the rubric. So if you find within your first discussion board post that you're not getting too good within this area, that's telling you that this is somewhere then you need to go and seek a bit of help, okay, and seek a bit more guidance in how you're putting your academic writing together. Within the assessment area in the unit, you would have seen the emblem that we've got up here for a draft submission point. So the draft submission allows you to submit a draft of your response to the discussion board questions. When you put this in, it's not for your final assessment. What it will do is scan your work and give you a report back. And that report is going to identify if there's any areas that you might have evidence of plagiarism. So you might have copied sources directly from another source, from an article or something. You know, if you've quoted that right and put it in the proper APA referencing quotation styles, that's fine. Okay, but if you haven't, then that can sometimes be referred to as plagiarism. Okay, and it can lose you marks, and it can get you in a bit of trouble. Make sure you have a look in the assessment guidelines to outline that a little bit more for you. It'll also tell you if you adequately paraphrased your article, your response. And so what that means with paraphrasing is that if you've been reading an article and you're putting it into your own words, sometimes we tend to take too many words from the article. And if you're getting areas like that highlighted up, it's not really showing us that you are understanding what you're presenting. It just shows us you're kind of copying from the article. So if that comes up in your report, that means you need to go back and think a little bit more about how you're presenting that information to show us that you understand it more and that it's more in your own words. It will also detect any areas that might have been copied from an assessment that you might have previously submitted. Okay, as academic integrity means you can only submit one assignment for once. Okay, so you can't, if you've submitted an assessment in semester 1 and you're thinking, oh, that was a really good chunk, I might just take that part of my assignment out and use it for this one here. That's actually against academic integrity rules. Okay, so you can't do that. Every new assignment has to be a new piece of your work. All right, so it will pick up if that's been done. And that also happens with other students' work, and that's referred to as collusion. So if you've worked very closely with another student, and that's great if you've got study buddies, but make sure each of the work that you submit is your own personal work and that it's not going to get linked back to another student's assignment, because that can also get you in a little bit of trouble. Okay, in this slide I've highlighted the study skills, and these are presented by the Academic Literacy and Language Success Program within CDU. So here you can see I've put a little image in of the academic assignments, and underneath that you'll be able to see academic writing. So this is a place where you can go if you don't want to, if you prefer to just forge ahead with your own studies and don't actually want to get in contact with anyone at ALLSP, but you do need a bit of guidance. This is an area where you can go and find that, and I've popped the link up here for you. Okay, if you do need to find out more about that, just let me know and we can point you in the right direction, or just go and have an explore on the CDU website, because there's plenty of links and resources to point you in the right direction there. Another great resource that CDU provides for students is the Tutor Online, or online tutoring. Okay, so this is an area and a resource where you can actually personally connect with someone live online to help you with your assignment. Now, I've done a couple of screenshots there so you can see exactly where I'm referring to, and you'll find the links for this within the unit main menu, okay, under student support. And what this does is it gives you support 24 hours, 7 days a week to online tutoring, and you can schedule a tutoring session where you can actually get some help with your assignments and so forth, and you can actually ask questions. And if you have a little look at the other screenshot I put there, you can actually link it down to a topic and a subject, so you get someone who actually knows what they're talking about in relation to what you need to know. Again, it's a free service for CDU students, and I really encourage you to use it. Okay, if you've watched this and you're still not sure, well, you need to get in contact with your unit coordinator, okay, and check the assessment outlines. So write down any questions that you've got. If there's anything that's been outlined here that doesn't quite answer the question you had, please get in contact with us and we can help you out with that. We'd really like to make this a successful journey through epidemiology studies for you, okay, so we can work together to do that. So off you go. I hope you enjoy working through all of these assessments, and I look forward to seeing what you produce at the end.